Has been one of the more monumental efforts post-Hurricane Helene, getting our roads back open. We saw a lot of this, back roads, highways, and parkways just gone by floodwaters, by landslides.
There was pretty widespread damage across the parkway. We had nearly 36 landslides across the road and tens of thousands of trees down. It's a vital artery for the community, and we're trying to reopen sections that provide connectivity to schools and hospitals and for people to get back and forth in their daily lives.
Yeah, again, that was just the Blue Ridge Parkway, roads maintained by the National Park Service. North Carolina's DOT had an even bigger job on its hands. Helene's damage led to 1,363 road closures. Now, as of today, we're down to 268. Another 90 have partial access.
We had a lot of our employees put aside issues at their own homes to work on behalf of the citizens and the business owners in Western North Carolina, especially immediately after the storm hit. I mean, one of the engineers, just had a tree absolutely cut right through his house. In one county, 10 employees lost their cars. That's more than a third of the employees in the county. Cars gone. So the teamwork that it took for them to get to work was incredible, let alone the work that they did.
Yeah, it's been a massive job, and it is still ongoing. Interstate 40 west of Asheville near the Tennessee state line, well, that's still closed tonight. NCDOT hopes to have it partially reopened on New Year's Day. Now, as the rebuild continues, state and local leaders are using data being collected at UNC Charlotte's Center for Applied GIS.
So lately, CAGIS, so the Center for Applied GIS, has been looking at hazards across the state. So they've been using, like I said, artificial intelligence to map, for example, infrastructure across the state, so bridges and their likelihood of collapse, underground infrastructure, the potential for landslides, for example. And so things that we really need to know and that the state really needs to know to plan for the future.
That right there is Sarah Gagne. She is the department chair of UNC Charlotte's Department of Earth, Environmental, and Geographical Sciences, the department where CAGIS operates. And well before Helene hit, it was a place already identifying our state's vulnerabilities.
Yeah, this is one of the dashboards that we have been developing to understand the impact of extreme events, for example, landslide, wildfire, and earthquake on the transportation infrastructure in North Carolina.
Wenwu Tang is the executive director of CAGIS. He, his students, and fellow researchers have a literal sandbox of toys in which to gather information.
Yeah, so this is so-called AR sandbox, augmented reality sandbox.
As you shift the sands, the impacts change. The rain, triggered by a move of a hand, collects in different areas. It's all analyzed by cameras and computers.
So we have a 3D the depth camera, and also we have a computer under the sandbox, and also we have projector. So fundamentally, this depth camera will collect the depth information or the height information and then send back to the computer.
They also use drones.
So imagine stitching a lot of pictures together from the sky down, and it gives us a satellite view, but up close. So high detail. We can really see change over time.
They also use mapping grid GPS to get accurate readings down to the centimeter. It means it's up to 500 times more precise than the GPS on your phone. They also use these inspection cameras.
That is used for check the condition of underground pipe without needing to dig them up.
So a lot of data is being collected, not only with these instruments, but other data sources, the Census, U.S. Geological Survey, NCDOT. But it's only really useful when it can be analyzed and put into a format people can use and understand.
You will use GIS software to process and analyze this data, and then we feed this data into the spatial models that we developed to understand, to estimate the risk, and estimate the the hazard and also the resilience related to transportation infrastructure.
That takes you back to these maps that policymakers and the public can make sense of visually. So where I'm seeing burgundy and some of these orange areas, those are areas that could potentially see some serious problems.
Yes, we need, of course, we need to verify and validate it and test it. But basically, that map tells us where are those areas that we need to pay more attention.
Why is this so important? What's the impact this is going to have?
So our expertise is to collect those data, analyze this data, and then build these models, these unique models, very special to us, and they use these models to analyze what may happen in the future.
So policymakers can make smart decisions, right? That's the idea we're here.
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, we can assist their decision making.
And the department's been doing this in other ways as well. Think back to the worst days of COVID. Researchers here were able to track the virus in wastewater and identify where it was concentrated, say which dorms. Dashboards were created, helping administrators and the community.
We like the visuals.
Yeah.
So a lot of time, this kind of digital information, if we transform them into this visual format, this will help facilitate the communication and also help in the community for their needs.
Another example was last summer when researchers put together heat maps of Charlotte.
And so this is like people driving and taking temperature readings at a really fine scale, like along streets in everybody's neighborhoods. And so we now have real-time, detailed information about what heat looks like for Charlotte residents. And that's the exact kind of information that the city needs to be able to try to mitigate that heat for the people that are most vulnerable.
Do we find some of these negative environmental impacts are affecting some communities more than others?
For sure, absolutely. So environmental injustice occurs in Charlotte, access to green space, the impacts of heat, so things that are associated with vegetation, tree cover, canopy cover, are definitely impacting some communities, often lower income communities, underserved communities, communities of color, than other communities in Charlotte. So that's something we definitely need to know about and need to start remediating.
And it takes data, distilled and visualized, here at UNC Charlotte.
So I've been here for 14 years, and I've really seen Charlotte grow enormously, especially in our research capacity and our capacity to reach local communities. And I think all of us here at the institution are really devoted to not only doing extremely high quality research, but to doing research that matters.
Yeah, it is fascinating work, of course, being done there at UNC Charlotte.